Stress can counteract benefits of healthy meals. Depression, stress and diet can all affect inflammation. But who would have known that stress could alter the effect of a meal? In a double-blind, randomized crossover study, 58 healthy women had 4 inflammatory markers tested. During 2 separate admissions of 9.5 hours, they received either a high saturated fat meal or a meal low in saturated fat. After the high saturated fat meal, the women's inflammatory markers increased compared to the low saturated fat meal. It can be interesting in itself that the women reacted with an inflammatory response after they ate a meal high in saturated fat. But here is the really interesting thing. When the women had been exposed to stressors the prior day, they also reacted with increased inflammation to the low saturated fat meal. Stress, in other words, turned a meal which normally did not result in an inflammatory response into an inflammatory meal. Can you imagine what happens if you feel stressed all day long? It's not only unpleasant, but extremely unhealthy. This was only one example of that. Stress is a part of life and is hard to avoid. The real solution is to be stress resistant. This can be learned by practice. Meditation, when used with other specific tools, is a way to improve your stress resistance.